Hey there, it's Nat. Tell me, I have a question for you, or two. Do you find yourself when you're doing videos, do you ever do that thing where you use the reverse camera so as you can kind of check yourself out while you're speaking and do you find yourself keep looking over and looking to see what you're doing in the middle of it to get feedback? Or do you sometimes, maybe for speaking pieces or videos, do you ever find yourself practicing in front of the mirror and looking at yourself to see what you look like in those moments? Very aware of this piece of hair going in front of my face right now while I'm talking about exactly that. What I wanted to do today is talk to you about that and give you a couple of tips and a piece of feedback that I was first given in high school by one of my drama teachers, who told me very clearly, Natalie, don't ever look in the mirror. Don't ever look in the mirror and practice your acting that way because it's bad for your acting, and here's why it's bad for your acting. And stay with me because this is relevant to speaking, right? He was very into, and I was always very into what's called the naturalistic Stanislavskian style of learning to bring a character to life. In short, what is that all about? That's kind of about learning to empathize and experience and feel that character that you're creating as though you are living it in the moment. So it's about feeling it live. It's feeling it and letting it come alive in your body and letting the thoughts that is that person come alive, so you're experiencing it as a very real experience in the moment, as opposed to doing what you can also do, which is kind of looking at what that person looks like when they do a particular behavior and then practicing learning to perfectly imitate that behavior, right? Slightly different thing. So why is this relevant, and why is it important that we learn to be present with ourselves when we're speaking? There's two reasons why that's important. Number one, it's important for your audience because the more present that you can be with your audience while you're with them, the better you can serve them, right? But number two, the better you can serve them also depends upon how present you can be with yourself to be aware of what message you're communicating in the moment while you're standing on stage. For example, one of the things that sometimes happens when we're on stage is unconscious mannerisms start to happen. You might have a thing where if you're a woman, you might fix your hair on stage, or you might do a thing where you scratch your nose on a regular basis, particularly if you have hair on your nose right now. Or in one case, there was this exercise that I had to do with some students one time with this same teacher. And one of my friends, what we had to do in this exercise was we had to essentially sit there, try and bring a character to life, and the audience had to give us feedback. In other words, the other students had to give us feedback about what looked like the character that we were doing and what looked like what looked like Natalie, for example. So I had this experience on this one particular day where I was perfectly sitting in this chair doing what I thought was perfectly doing this character. And then this friend of mine, Polly, kind of giggles and she's like, that's such a Natalieism. And I said, what's such a Natalieism? And she said, the way you just grabbed onto the side of the chair just then. You see, some of you already know that I talk about getting over the fear of public speaking because I had huge amounts of anxiety initially about speaking, and one of the ways that it first used to come out was for that part of me that was totally freaked out about being in front of a group. There's a part of me that would just kind of check out of myself and dissociate from myself and not be present with myself it's called dissociation. You disconnect from yourself, but at the same time, because I was needing to play a character in the moment, I was needing to ground myself back into the moment, right? So then what I was doing was this unconscious thing where Natalie, rather than the character, was interrupting the character to do this thing where she was hanging on to the side of the chair to literally hold myself down from floating away in that moment, right? To ground myself in that moment. And I had no idea, very aware that I'm doing that right now, I had no idea though in the moment that I was doing that. So it can really help us to work on our presence, to learn to be more aware of what we're doing when we are doing video, when we're speaking in front of an audience. And one of the ways that you can learn to be more aware, or you can practice being more aware, is to put away that visual way of trying to get feedback. That's one way, and I know some of you might argue, oh, but Natalie, I'm a visual learner, and Natalie, I'm a visual communicator, that's my preferred style. But that's cool, but it's also to learn to be present. It's great to learn to just be present, see what's going on in your body in the moment while you're speaking, yeah? One of the things that you can do to practice that is you can, the next time that you could do this with a group of friends, right? There's two ways you could do this. You could either ask a group of friends to just sit with you, and you're going to talk to them about something that's relatively easy for you to talk about, maybe just something that's relevant to your conversation that day. And your only mission is it's not to worry about what you're saying, it's just to, while you're speaking, just try to be more aware of what's going on in my left knee right now. What's going on, what am I doing? What actions, what mannerisms am I doing with my body right now, as well as what's coming out of my mouth? That's your main task. And you can do a similar version of that exercise that me and those students had to once do, where you can sort of ask your friends for feedback of, what was I doing right there relative to what you think, what you perceive that you were doing. That can be very useful. Another way to practice it is just to take over your lounge room at home and imagine there's an imaginary audience and just practice speaking without the pressure again of having a video running or anything like that. You just literally pick a topic and just start talking about it in front of the audience as though they were live, and just start talking about everything you know about it. But while you're doing it, again, it's not about knowing the content, it's not about the quality of the content, it's just about you being aware of, what am I doing right now, really? While my mouth is moving, what's also going on with me? Just noticing, like the way I did in this video, right? Where I was like, oh, I'm very aware that I'm moving my hair right now because my nose is itchy. Like, it's just becoming more aware of those little things. You're just aiming to notice those things. So that's my thought for the day. Love to hear what your experience has been of that, and love to hear how you go with that. A great time to implement this as well, by the way. You remember I was talking about I had my own experience of stress. One of the things I was talking about at my last event was how to manage that stress that we all can have as speakers when we get on stage. So an ideal time to implement this can be after you implement those stress management techniques to make sure that you make a little bit more room, that the first thing that you notice when you tune into yourself isn't, oh my God, I'm so anxious, I'm freaking out right now. If we can get that managed under control first, it will make it so much easier for you to then do the presence exercise, right? So that's it. That's my thought for the day. Hope you're well. Love to hear your thoughts. And this is Nat tuning out from the beach. Looking forward to chatting to you soon. Cheers. Bye.